clouds. And let me read Larissa's bio. Larissa Shmailo is the author of 6 collections of poetry, 2 novels, a writing workbook, and 2 poetry CDs. She is the original English translator of the avant-garde opera Victory Over the Sun and leads the Writing Resilience workshops. Larissa.
Thank you, Jon. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Poets and writers, welcome to Sustained Resistance in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. We are honored by your courageous participation in the spirit of MLK Jr.'s activism and peaceful protest. We raise our voices today in resistance to an increasingly unhinged and despotic regime. They're murdering poets, dear friends. Don't worry, though, today, if your poem is not overtly political, the act of creating and sharing poetry is resistance in itself, as Renee Nicole Good has demonstrated. And I would like to dedicate this reading to the memory of Renee Nicole Good, a fellow poet. I'd like to say that we stand with Minneapolis and Minnesota, and 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 please remember to keep your sharing to 3 minutes. Also, please remember to join us tomorrow, Sunday, between 1 and 4 p.m. Eastern for the second part of the Sustained Resistance program. Without further ado, I will read a poem. Scarcity. Listen. If you wait but don't want, if you want but don't take, if you take but don't use, if you use but don't care, if you care but not much, the petty demon comes. The petty demon says, not all of you are wanted, not everyone is needed, a few may be accepted. There's scarcity, you see. There are no loaves and fishes, not for the likes of you. A few baguettes for baby, some caviar for me. There's just enough to shit and sleep, but not enough for thee. The petty demon shrieks, time is money, sell short, eat to win, assume the position. In the world, in the angry material world, there are men who are not men. Men whose imaginations never rise above the box and plane, whose imaginations squat upon the positions of power. If the petty demon bothers you, here's what you say. Tell him, I don't know about your lawyer's fees, your MDs, your CEOs, your deep freeze. I do know that the blind man is perfect, that there's more to life than irony and squealing like a stuck pig, that the truth is hard, but you can stand on it, that time isn't money or a threat, but a gift. As you assume your position in the world, do not love men who are not men, whose imaginations never rise. Walk tall, walk with God, assume nothing, take a position. All right. As I say, I would like to now introduce our brilliant technical director, Jon Wesick, who stepped in at the last moment to substitute for Jonathan Penton, whose wife had a baby. Congratulations to Jonathan. And thank you so much, Jon, for all your good work. Jon is going to read a poem. Jon Wesick hosts the Gelato East Fiction Open Mic, as well as the NAV Arts Poetry Reading. His latest short story collection is St. John the Blasphemer.
Thank you, Larissa. According to Pew statistics, 400 Americans died in mass shootings in 2021. Dividing by a population of 350 million gives a chance of 1 in a million. Half that if you're not a gangbanger or drug dealer. 1 in a million does not sound like an epidemic to me. Rifle class, day after a mass shooting. Feds flee Cliven Bundy's rifles. An armed militia takes over a wildlife refuge. Trump frees January 6th rioters. Guess what? Pam Bondi won't protect us from the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and 3%ers. Fascists are more dangerous than the 1 in a million chance of dying in a mass shooting, so I spend weeks in rain, hail, and desert heat to learn pistol, shotgun, and rifle. Here, on this day, the screams of the wounded are far away. Instead, hands practice a choreography of magazine changes and malfunction clearing. I like the rented AR-15. It's accurate, doesn't kick much, and its loose spring goes boing when it chambers the next round. Hot wind sucks water from my body, and even slathered in sunscreen, my face burns. It's too quiet, the instructor says. All I hear is pistols next door. Let's show 'em what real firearms sound like. With others, I center my ghost ring sight on a gray silhouette and squeeze the trigger. Rifles booms alert car alarms. Dust puffs on the berm behind paper targets. Hot brass flies from an ejection port, falls down my shirt and burns. We sling loaded rifles over shoulders only once. Feel something different? The instructor asks. That's the feeling of freedom. I don't feel freedom. I feel grateful for a fighting chance. And since I seem to be the only gun owner who goes to open mics, I will post my top 10 list of what I think fellow poets get wrong about gun policy in the chat. Thank you.
Wonderful, Jon. Thank you. That was very vivid. As I say, great job, Jon. I'd now like to introduce Doug Anderson, who I'm very pleased to have on this reading with us today. Doug Anderson's last book was Undress, She Said, from Four-Way Books. His new and selected poems is forthcoming from Saturnalia Books in 2026. Doug, take it away. You're muted, Doug.
This poem is a year old, so it should be called 3 years, but it was 4 years when I wrote it. So it's 4 years. The king goes down to the sea and forbids the tide to wash over his feet. It washes over them anyhow. Along with 2,000 years of knowledge, science, and art, people freed decades ago by civil rights movements, and those more recently protected by the legislation he wants to erase, the queer and disabled. The tide continues to wash over his feet. It is up to his knees now. There is a tsunami on the horizon, a herd of horses coming up at him out of the green dark, ridden by ghosts of the Holocaust, of the Inquisition, of slavery. They are the horses of history that will trample everything but the faintest stain of him. The unfortunate recrudescent of every Caligula rerun. The Hitlers, the Pol Pots, the Stalins, the battalions of sycophants, the embarrassing hucksters and snake oil salesmen. He shouts, but the thunder of hooves drowns him out. Does he actually think that much truth can be hidden, expunged, that the world is not watching him, that Europe, steeped in centuries of gore, does not recognize his foul spectacle? Now the water is up to his chin. He flails around in it, but is sweeping the sand from under his feet. It will lift him in its great swell and carry him away. It takes 4 years, but there he goes. The orcas are tracking him. He is in the Antarctic now, being frozen in time. Dante would have put him in the lowest Bolgia, the festering ice between Satan's feet. There he is, the last snarl of contempt frozen on his face, and the deluge of history closes over him.
Thank you so much, Doug. That was wonderful. I'm now very pleased to introduce Patricia Spears Jones, who is the author of 12 poetry collections, full-length and chapbooks, including The Beloved Community. She is the former New York State Poet Laureate.
Doug, thank you so much. You helped me because I have 2 poems. One is a lyric. It's like notes for a poem, and the other are curses. And so, Don, you just gave us a great curse. So here's the first poem, and it really is our notes. Notes on a poem about January. What we have now is life in paradox. The traitors in the White House assaulting citizens, a mother shot in daylight, a father on New Year's Eve. The dragged out cars chased down streets, tear-gassed assaults. And yet, Buddhist monks are walking across the Bible Belt, walking for peace. Roads lined with citizens, black and white, offering flowers, food, water, or treats for Aloka, their peace dog. The occasional preacher shows up, Bible in hand, and tries to convert them. They walk. The strut and swagger of the blonde boys at the Pentagon, upended by the buff fictional hockey players fucking in hotels from Montreal to Ottawa. Their tender regard, a kind of peacemaking. Citizens in Chicago, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, New York, rant and rally and shout the frozen men away as much as they can. Hear the whistles, hear the curses, watch the snowballs fly. Renee Good was in the right place for her family, but the wrong place in this American nightmare. Keith Porter Jr. was simply showing joy for the end of a bad year. And then the bullets fly to his body. His killer walks away. Her killer walks away, unmasked, not concerned. We began this year with joy, new day to do new things, poet at the podium during the mayor's swearing in. We began this year with joy. We know not what comes next, as this chaos blizzards our streets, infects our children, mocks our right to breathe clean air. We know the tender regard of our partners, our families, our friends. We hear the whistles. We know the angles of our desire shall not be blunted by this traitor's diseased hands. And here's the curse. First, sin snakes. Snakes on the road, snakes in their path, small ones, large ones. Let the cobra curve itself around the uplifted neck of the ex-beauty queen. Let the cottonmouth bite the fat man's fat ass. Send thousands of pigeons across their flight paths. Send thousands of pigeons to shit on the tarmac. Send 7 flocks of finches to pluck off masks and peck out eyes. Let them hear cats purring amplified into every ear, their own personal flashbang. Let their ears bleed. Let the cats scratch their arms, their legs, their thighs. Let their skin scar. Send diseased mosquitoes, better to bite the skin of crying-eyed blondes. Send hairless necromancers, summoning lynch mob leaders of the 20th century. Let their hands wring the semen-soaked underwear of 50-year-old pedophiles. Let lightning strike their armies, igniting fires in the windows. Let them snort the chemical agents that make an infant stop breathing. Let them witness their own personal hellfire. Lift the accursed up to the White House rooftop, then drop them onto the paved over rose garden. Record the harrowing screams and the attendant laughter. Let freedom ring.
Thank you for delivering a brilliant curse, Patricia, casting the spell for us today. Thank you very much. Brilliant, brilliant. All right, it is my great honor to introduce Marge Piercy, the Marge Piercy, who is the author of 12 poetry collections. I'm sorry, Marge Piercy has published 20 poetry books, 17 novels, a memoir, short stories, 5 nonfiction books, and her book, The Hour of My Death. Its publication date is October 2026. Be on the lookout for that. Marge, take it away. Marge, you're muted, Marge.
I'll start again. They're killing us off. Strip families of SNAP funds. Tariffs make food expensive. Can only afford fast food. Got cancer at 40. Call the Herd, our new national program. Get rid of our hungry mouths. AI will replace us all. Do you imagine it's accidental that we have a madman in charge of health? Measles, COVID do the job. Polluting our cities, that should rid the white rich of those they no longer need. Build fancy housing, have the military bomb random fishing boats. Prep for killing citizens. Soon enough in blue cities. Once there were good jobs for workers. Overseas AI now. The rich spelled everything for more riches. We have become utterly expendable to those who count, and they don't bother counting us. This is an ad I wrote for ICE before Nicole was killed. By the way, I'm glad to see some organizations are putting her poems online so we can understand what a poet she was. An ICE ad should go like this. Join the ICE, good pay, benefits. Are you frustrated? Women won't screw you. Throw the bitches to the ground, beat freely. Are you annoyed by folks who insist on speaking Spanish? Toss them into detention, starve them, make them sick. Their families wonder where they are, but you'll never tell. Put children on planes alone to a country they never knew. Deport teenagers who grew up in Detroit to Sudan. How amusing to seek out wars and chaos to dump the bastards there. You'll have all the fun you can imagine, and nobody will recognize you under your mask. kick, pummel, use tear gas, use tear gas, or just shoot the unarmed. It's a wonderful life for you in the ICE. No laws, restraints, freedom to let it all loose. The sharp edges of compassion. Some people are kind to stray dogs, but spit on the homeless. Some people adore their children, but don't mind if other kids starve. They see foreigners as less human than neighbors who at least speak English. Some refuse to eat meat, but solitary confinement is deserved. Where do we draw the line, leaving so many outside our compassion? How closely must others resemble us before we can care about them? Our responses choose life or death, whether or not we're willing to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marge. That was absolutely fabulous. Thank you so very much. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Ngoma, who is an amazing performance poet, multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, archivist, and paradigm shifter who for over 50 years has used culture as a tool to raise socio-political and spiritual consciousness through work that encourages critical thought. Really brilliant. Let's go, Ngoma.
We shall not bow down to racism. We shall not bow down to oppression. We shall not bow down to injustice. What you gonna do? I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. Democracy teeter-totters on the precipice of our discontent, put through the microscope of integrity, coming up deficient of honesty, as the college elects to misrepresent those crying out for proof that the so-called Constitution is constitutional, not just archaic babble left over from centuries past, laughing gargoyles on the steps of justice. Apathy is the aching tooth of Dracula, fangs dripping Middle Eastern oil as Fat Sam needs a colonic. 500 years of lies backed up in his constitution. Constituents tired of being pregnant with hope seek out abortions, feeling voting has no purpose in this hypocrisy, where the two-headed coin has two bad sides and anywhere it falls, oppression rules. Martial law hiding in the shadows, waiting for the eagle to fall. Conspiracy theories ignored, while those who disorder the new world wait for its deliverance to the gates of hell. We shall not bow down to racism. We shall not bow down to injustice. We shall not bow down to oppression. What you gonna do? I'm gonna stand. 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 Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. We shall not bow down and we shall stand. This would be a great song to sing at a protest reading. Thank you so much, Ngoma.
Thank you.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce Char Nord, who is Professor Emeritus of English and Creative Writing at Providence College. He served as Poet Laureate of Vermont From 2015 to 2019, he lives in Westminster West, Vermont. Take it away, Chard. Is Chard here?
Let's see him on the guest list.
You don't see him? Oh, what a pity. All right. Maybe we'll try him again later. All right, now it is my absolute great pleasure to introduce the town crier, Raymond Nat Turner, who is a New York City poet privileged to have read at the Harriet Tubman Centennial Symposium. He is artistic director of the stalwart jazz poetry ensemble Upsurge, New York City, and has appeared at numerous festivals and venues, including the Monterey Jazz Festival and Panafest in Ghana, West Africa. Take it away, Raymond.
Okay. Thank you so much for pulling this together, all the organizers, and thank you for inviting me. And that introduction was so funny because when I looked at the pieces, I've written a lot of pieces recently on the No Kings marches and the resistance that's going around across the country. But I harken back to the period of 2013 when I read this poem at the Harriet Tubman Centennial, because it was, well, I think of this poem being written between the murders of George Floyd and um, not Michael Brown and George Floyd, anyway. So, anyway, it's called Help, Mama Harriet, Help, or Thanks, Mama Harriet. I cried, Help, Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help. And you, beautiful young warriors, came toy-toying from Ferguson, Baltimore, the town, through tear gas clouds, pepper spray storms. You came tying traffic into hangman nooses, shutting malls down like open and shut cases of killer cops who walk. You came wresting your minds from the hands of exploiters. I cried, Help, Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help. And you, beautiful young warriors, came incandescent, kicking, screaming from capitalism's womb, waters breaking, unleashing torrents of energy, sending surges of resistance, electrifying our streets, illuminating our steps like Las Vegas nights. You came galvanizing, mobilizing, organizing, wet blankets of false consciousness, suffocating confusion, despair, plastic cuffs, protest pins, free speech zones, police state checkpoints, poles with eagle eyes, walls with elephant ears, jagged resting places of boomers bamboozled by the state's complex simplicity. I cried, Help, Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help. And you, beautiful young warriors, came waistbands concealing questions, came actions unraveling riddles wrapped in enigmas, shrouded in superstition. What is the state? What is this octopus with 10,000 tentacles circling the wagons? What is this creature of constitution, courts, prisons, jails, judges, legislators. What is this machine of mediators, arbitrators, governors, generals, admirals, wardens, agencies, bureaus, spies, snitches, provocateurs, patsies, and foot soldiers, son of slave patrols, the police, all coming from the same playbook, the same page? I cried, help, Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help, 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 Mama Harriet, help. And you, beautiful young warriors, came trusting fresh, unvarnished perceptions that the state protects. Private plane, too big to fail, Cayman Island crowds, serves 99% pig foot and fist, knuckle sandwiches, boot burgers, baton blows, taser, and loads of hot lead, compliments of the 1%. You sensed it ain't broke. Every epithet, insult, punch, kick, baton blow, bullet serves superbly. You realize you can't fix the robber's gun, leaving skeletons wasting in doorways on cardboard mattresses, hands curled into cups from begging. You feel you can't tinker with terrorist bombs, blowing up food stamps, Social Security, Medicare, and your schools. You can't adjust clubs crushing resistance, suppressing free speech, shielding scabs, smashing strikes, and drum majoring for wars, slaughtering your class brothers and sisters by the thousands in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. I cried, help, Mama Harriet, help. Help, help, Mama Harriet, help. And you, beautiful young warriors, you fit the profile. Toying from Ferguson, Baltimore, the town, vying for mastery of mass struggles, myriad farms, sit-ins, boycotts, marches, mass meetings, mass rallies, teach-ins, freedom schools, freedom songs, sabotage, armed self-defense, door to door, doing the difficult today. The impossible might take a little while.
Oh, the town crier. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Raymond. It is now my absolute wonderful great pleasure to introduce Martine Bellin, who is the author of 10 books, including An Anatomy of Curiosity, which is from Mad Hat Press, This Amazing Cage of Light, New and Selected Poems, which is from Spurten Duivel. Take it away, Martine.
Thank you, Larissa, for organizing this, and Jon for your work, and all of the writers, readers being here, and your effort to make this world better through your words and actions, thoughts. And I'm going to read a new piece, and the piece speaks to our greed, which I believe is behind our global predicament. And there is the Buddhist concept of hungry ghosts, which never can get their fill, no matter how much they're given. And the piece is called The Birdcage. Sighted people tend to react to darkness like birds when their cage is covered for the night. And thus, with my so-called cage concealed, I rested on a bed of nettles, Hansel as my dream, or rather, I drowned in our mutual dream, having slipped into him while asleep. And when he awoke, I, Gretel, remained in deep slumber, nestled as him, my clay counterpart, my Hansel, who has become a prosthetic memory, a false limb I rest on for support as I wade through hallucinations of ambrosial nourishment and death threats from a cannibalistic witch. Our hunger, though, was no dream. Our land suffered severe famine, as it does now, since we reside in the realm of hungry ghosts with needle-thin necks through which victuals are unable to slip to satisfy humanity's gnawing craving. And what of the birds, the wrens and cardinals, the crows and ravens that peck our crumbs and eyes so we may lose our way? By the cauldron appears a gang of hangry ghosts that dream of fattening up Hansel, testing and tasting his meat, sticking him in a stockade, threatening to reduce him to soup stock. I reside deep in the pocket of his heart. Our pocket watch chain fetters us to fear and spiritual poverty. Where he remains, his remains, our remains in the taste of our oral and moral tales, those dreams of sweet riches and witches buried in this old growth forest where broken bones and bowls rest side by side, nursing on one another's limbs, and the soil horizon where we will finally abate hunger and thirst, tend to our breaks, tunnel our way through this darkened cage of our creation, the craving in the pit of our imagination. And what of those foreshadowing birds that caw and circle the skies, harbingers of culinary cutthroats to come? When Hansel awakens from my dream, he unhooks the cage's latch to find me. I sing in a light on a branch, tell our tale to alert him to mysteries that might trap or loose us. I remember when he played the witch, the woodland spirit, the woodsman. I remember when he enjoyed a sandwich-laden picnic. I remember when we were draped in sleep, clawing our way from the hood we hid in so we wouldn't appear as children, so tasty to eat, to steal, so easy to abandon. Faceless fears unfaced under hooded headless cowls, howling and caroling, easy prey for darkness to find us in the restless forest of childhood, that insidious darkness which shrouds us at night.
Amazing,
Yeah.
Martine. Brilliant. Thank you so very, very much. Now it is my absolute delight to introduce Gabrielle Lennon, my good friend, who is a graduate of Northwestern University, loves helping animals, that is so true, and showing the human being under various stigmas through her art. Find her books and tickets to her multi-award-winning solo show on Zoom at her website, www.gabriellelennon.com. Gabrielle, take it away.
Thanks. This poem is called War Crimes. Some 6 cents, a mare, ick. Ununited States. The ununited states of greed, anger, and stupidity. A creed of rapacious rage and blind belief. What's at the bottom of this tornado of terrorists that sucks in and spits out lives like piles of dismembered limbs? A teacher is shot, nearly fatally, by one of her 6-year-old students. Lawyers claim that being shot by a student is expected risk of elementary school teachers. Fake weather, fake flooding, fake news. The bizarre bazaar of capitalism. Satan in a suit. Please let orange be the new black. Slave. Salve. New Florida, where woke goes to die, education standards require Black history lessons to include saying slavery served enslaved people because it taught them skills that benefited them personally. Rage, rape, POTUS minus the T and U on women. You have to treat them like shit. You've got to deny, deny, deny. If you admit to anything and any culpability, then you're dead. You've got to deny anything that's said about you. Never admit. My mind is a brachiating monkey in a messy maze of jungle gyms or forest trees of every height and color, their branches scattered like flowers. Tsunami of terror. They'd love to lynch us. Resist. Meditation is medication. I activate my inner Gandhi. Hymen. Hymen. I have really given a lot of women great opportunity. Unfortunately, after they are sick, the fun is over for me. Inversion. Invasion. If Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? He buys a girl like he buys a pizza. Grab him by the pussy. You can do anything. Haunting. Hunting. They'd love to lynch us. Resist. Intelligent woman. Bitch. Strong woman. Bitch. Boss woman. Bitch. Don't worry, dude. I'm not mad at you. With a friendly smile. Fucking bitch. Bang, bang, the bitch is dead. He shot her in the face. He shot her in the head. Slit, clit, object of desire. Toss timber on the terror fire. They'd love to lynch us. Resist. I activate my inner Gandhi.
But we all need to activate our inner Gandhis. Thank you so much, Gabrielle. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, now we have the indomitable Swapan Basu, who is the chairman of Rhyming Poets International, author of 3 books, was telecasted by BRICS to New York City on EBC TV, received first prize in Tagore Poetry Contest, and is known for his translation of Tagore songs. Take it away, Swapan. You're muted, Swapan. There you go. Great.
Okay. Spasiba, Larissa, and Dobre Ultra to everybody. This is Martin Luther King's birthday, so I'm reading a biographic poem on Rosa Louis Parks, which also includes Martin Luther King. I was invited by the city to read this poem on their Juneteenth event and was given $150. Man. Maybe she was black, but not too dark, a dynamite mind with courageous spark. In 1955, on Thursday, December 1st, she rode against racial injustice. For the better, she broke the peace. Blacks had to give seat to a white man, a disgraceful Crow's law of segregation. Why should I get up? I am a lady. You are a man. Where is chivalry? I paid the same fare as you may have. I'm tired from day's work and can't get up. That is not the issue. You are black. Being white, I have the right to ask you to arise and give up the seat. I own, please stand on your feet. We are pushed too far. It must end. I must object and not yield or bend. The bus stopped. A policeman came. She was not afraid, not at all tame. Get up or else you will be arrested. So be it, the iron lady protested. She was handcuffed, fingerprinted. Rosa Parks, the name got imprinted. Photograph was taken with number 7053. Took all the insults to be one day free, was jailed and fined for $14, a crime for being a person of color. A gentle, ordinary lady made a history. Everybody learned of her gallant story. Darkness then away. She turned on the lights. Rosalie became the mother of civil rights. NAACP President Mr. Nixon posted the bill, boycott the bus. Reverend Martin Luther King held at Martin Luther King's MLK's house, blasted a bomb, but he calmed the furious mob. Coretta and children were unhurt. Angry folks were ready to riot. Reverend Martin Luther King said, "Do not use violence to retaliate. Lead the people in the Gandhian path of protest by non-violence." In South Africa, a white man ejected Gandhi from a first-class train. Mahatma Gandhi drove the British out of India without force. Reverend Martin Luther King preached Gandhi's peaceful cause. For 381 days, people walked miles, rode bicycles on endless roads. In 1956, apartheid is unconstitutional, ruled the Supreme Court. The nation was divided, torn into pieces, sewed them together. Rosa the seamstress, Reverend King gave his life. Rosa got fired. A daredevil digress nobody would hire. In Detroit, Michigan, Representative John Conyers gave her a job after looking for years. Jackie Robinson, not Jackie Robinson, it is Joanne Robinson. Joanne Robinson, Iron Morgan, and Colvin Claudette. Claudette Colvin also made the same disgraceful fate. On March 2nd, 55, Claudette was arrested. NAACP Secretary Rosa Parks attended. In 1996, President William Jefferson Clinton awarded her Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 1999, Rosa also got the honor Congressional Medal for her valor. October 24, 2005, Rosalie Macaulay.
Swapping, dear.
Huh? Trying to heaven on that call. Let us respond to her great call. Victims of long racial hatred treat others also with respect. Hating others take us only back, divert us from the rightful track. My pranam, my salam, Madam Rosa Parks, an explosive mind with courageous sparks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swapping. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Don Yorty. Don is the author of 3 poetry collections and a novel. He blogs at donyorty.com. Poems written in his 20s, fucking at other poems, will be published by Indolent Books in February 2026. Keep an eye out for that. Don, take it away.
Okay, I unmuted. Good, I did it. Thank you, Larissa. Thank you, everyone. I'm really happy to be here in this wonderful group of people. And as somebody once said, let's hang together or we shall hang separately. So
Amen.
Let's hang together. Yes, please, on March the 4th at the Poetry Project, 8 p.m., I'm going to be reading from the book launch of Fucking and Other Poems. If you're around, please come. March the 4th, 8 p.m. Not all the poems I wrote in my 20s are going to be in Fucking and Other Poems. And I thought today I'd read a song which never really got music to it, but I don't know if I've ever even really read this. And anyway, I was 23. It was 1973. Vietnam War was still going on. And I wrote this, The Street Sweeper's Song. Miss America, my song is fantasy. That's why I sing it now to you. For you've lied some, and you've killed some, and you taught me win or lose. Made me petty and ambitious till I reeled and reeked of booze. Then you said it's them or us, and your corpse was a bloody youth. I followed through the Badlands with my right hand low, sprinkling burnt Asians instead of raisins on my breakfast cereal. You never showed me in the movie how Earl Flynn and the cavalry liked to adorn their saddle horns with hacked off Comanche pussies, which is how the West was won. Though crazy ones are first to come. Then the trappers and the seekers, the gold miners and the fleers, the ill-starred gambler and dance-hall lady who liked to show her fancy garters when she did a can on the table. Then out back in the blacksmith's stable, bore the frontier's first baby, of which no man claimed to be the father, knowing all men had had her. So the little thing she carries through the dust out of old Tombstone, kicked by the preacher just arrived, who shot a hole through the buffalo, so bloody, deep, and wide, she can easy make her exit as the Chinaman nails down the Santa Fe Railroad in the gridiron town. Well, when they pay you so they can lay you, you get to reap all that they sow. And I thought the time was coming when the harvest would be hell. But I thought if I could kill you, everything would turn out swell. There'd be food for little children in Bangladesh and Bogota. We could fold up our umbrellas and talk to dolphins in the sea. And everybody'd be an artist painting the final masterpiece. But when I tied you up to do it, I saw a tear hung from your eye that was bigger than a bread box, that was bigger than the sky, a translucent revolving bubble that hid your face from mine. So I burst it with a finger and sent it everywhere, leaving you, just me and you, face to face and very clear. You are all I've ever wanted. You are all I've ever feared. The occupation is street sweeper, and we must sweep the streets so clean. All reflections are reflecting off of everything. In the alley, in the factory, in the oceans blue and green, into all eyes, into all hearts, into those places dark and deep. We will always have our problems, though death and taxes fly away. Whether we laugh or whether we cry, underneath our face remains. So why worry? I won't kill you. I will love you just the way you are right now, and then tomorrow, which is always another day. I will love you a little better always.
And, amazing, done. Absolutely amazing. March 4th at the Poetry Project, the launch of Fucking and Other Poems. Be there or be square.
Thank you.
Is Susan Aringel in the house? Susan Aringel? I don't think so. I don't see her.
I don't see her on the participant.
I don't see her. All right, so I am now pleased to turn the program over to Elizabeth Morse's cohort. I would like to introduce the amazing Elizabeth Morse. Elizabeth Morse full-length poetry collection, Unreasonable Weather, a wonderful collection, was published by Kelsey Books in 2025. One of the poems in this book was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. Take it away, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Larissa. Investments. If you don't invest, then you have nothing. Even a homeless person invests in a cardboard box to sleep in, a ready-made shelter with no mortgage. It's valued and traded with smells as well as rips and tears. Market volatility is when the cops grab it. No homeless here. Invest somewhere else. Another investment is a high-rise pied-à-terre for the well-to-do. Only ghosts live here with white walls and furniture. The owners have other lives, other houses. One elevator is for a car that only the ghosts drive on nights when there's no moon shining through the window on the 55th floor. The market hums and twitches, takes new bets. Trades spawn new money, new houses, new lives. You can trade on the desperate data you always desired. Watch fleeting red and green ticker symbols. If you know what no one else does, it's against the law. Then federal prison's where you'll live. Investments are infestations, hornets' nests. You could lose everything and get stung. Investments can make you rich or poor, and you don't always get to decide. Just unhappy meals here. Forfeit all, and that's what you could afford. Your stock holdings are reflections in evaporating water. Even a homeless person invests in a cardboard box. Thank you. And now for Christopher Bogart. He has 8 books of poetry published, including Breakpoint and an anthology of 83 poets. Silence is Consent. Both are in protest to the presidencies of Donald Trump.
Thank you. This poem is called Little Boots, Bone Spurs. Legions call him Little Boots. In Latin, Caligula. His father, a Caesar as well as a soldier. His grandfather, Drusus, a soldier too. For a fee, doctors diagnosed young Donald with bone spurs. His father spent his war denying blacks housing here at home. His grandfather, a German, was a draft dodger too. Boots' grandfather, Drusus, bore the name Germanicus, because Drusus fought fierce tribes throughout all Germany and brought gold, glory, and laurels home to Rome. Spur's grandfather, Frederick, quickly fled Germany when he feared being drafted into the Bavarian army. He traveled to the Yukon and bought a whorehouse in Whitehorse. Myth had it that Caligula, in peak of petty vengeance, appointed his horse Incitatus, a Roman consul, gave him a jewel-encrusted bridle to sport on the Senate floor. Donald J. Trump, in his own vengeful pettiness, appointed horse heroin addict RFK Jr. Secretary of Health and Human Services, despite dangers he posed to the health of us all. Little Boots let lions loose in Rome's Circus Maximus and in Rome's Forum as a means of execution. Many an innocent victim lay in the path of the lion's grasp. Bone Spurs often bragged that he would always take liberties at teenage beauty pageants and with women by the score. No pussy, he bragged, was far from his entitled grasp. Little Boots was married 3 times, was rumored to have had sexual relations, some with his sisters and everyone else's wives. Bone Spurs, who was also married 3 times, was rumored to have had sex with hookers and minors. You can read all about it if they're ever released within the Epstein files. Little Boots demanded the legions of Rome parade straight up the sea-locked Isle of Britannia to defeat King Neptune and capture 45 million clamshells. Bone Spurs demanded a grand military parade too. Abrams tanks, Bradley vehicles tore up Constitution Avenue. The cost of this fiasco was 45 million clams. Caligula was Rome's emperor for years, only 4. Far fewer than he had originally expected, until one day in Rome's chaotic Colosseum, packed full of fawning sycophants by the score, his Praetorian Guard put an end to his imperial career. Trump is surrounded by simpering sycophants, singing his praises for all to hear. But despite his attempts at imperial ambition, we the people are making it clear we have zero interest in what he is peddling, his lying, his racism, his hate-filled smears. All things real Americans will no longer tolerate. He and his lies are not welcome here. Thank you.
And now our next reader is Bonnie Finbook. Her publications include her novel, Collie's Day, 3 chapbooks, Sitting Book, Deja Vu, and How the Discovery of Sugar Produced the Romantic Era. She received an Acker Award for Fiction and is working on her second novel.
Abortion. Being anesthetized is like death, the false voices waking you from senseless sleep, revived alone, leaving shapeless potential in its sterile bag on the stainless steel, a mirror of all love gone wrong, a carnival of freakish pain, of the unwanted, the lost, the vanquished self. A sentient God animates the stars, self-immolating like a Buddhist nun, extinguishing the future, torching the past. The quiet between condemns the futile night sky, life and death exchanging clothes like giddy sisters. Odd numbers. Outside the bakery on a wicker chair, beneath an awning dry of rain, an empty coffee cup, self-service, no staff to make her leave. Sideways, back against the bricks, dressed for work or church, eyes closed, head felled onto her chest like a dead oak, long breath in, long breath out. She starts like a doll, stirred from inertia, round eyes, glistening white, voice still inside the dream. $1? 5? She takes the bill. Thank you. Smiles, baring teeth like buildings after earthquake. Then its lights out again, withdrawn from sight, invisible, trusting luck. Again. $1? 5? No, he turns away, mild disgust, returns to his croissant. This avenue, these streets once belonged to her, who waits for muffin eaters, flush enough for love. Sparrows on the sidewalk peck for crumbs. This is my last one. Why? Because you cannot feel the silence of a heartbeat, because you cannot taste the hunger in a root, because you cannot place the arm of love around self-pity, because you cannot hear the burning tongues of ruin, because you cannot cleanse betrayal of your dreams, because you cannot stop the manufacture of our nightmares, because you cannot hear the ocean's whisper in its roar, because your aim is always pointed at the sun, because your darkness shields you from the light, because your mirror can't belie the glare of truth, because you haven't listened to the stories in a stone, because you pledge your body to the slaughter, because your gold at heaven's door won't get you in, because you cannot find the paths that martyred saints have traveled, because the mollusk of your crusted heart is dead, because your mortal aspirations will expire, because your expiration date is nigh, because you cannot make the scolding voices cease, you will never in your torment draw a breath of peace. Thank you.
The next reader, Janice Itis, is the author of 4 novels and 2 short story collections. She has published fiction and essays in many anthologies and leading magazines.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Larissa, and everyone else for organizing these really important readings. I'm going to read a very short essay that was recently published in Alta, which is an online magazine started by 3 former editors of Jewish Currents magazine, which is a magazine that has always been part of the resistance. And my essay is called Una vida más tranquila y una aventura. My husband, 23-year-old daughter, and I have recently moved from Midtown Manhattan to Panama City, the one in the Republic of Panama, not the one in Florida, I'm admittedly happy to say. A year or so ago, when we first told our family and friends about our upcoming move, they were stunned and sad. But why, they asked? Well, politics, for starters. This they understood, since they all share our absolute and visceral abhorrence of the current administration. But why Panama? We knew what they meant was, why in the world Panama? I had and have so many answers to this question. I reminded everyone that my daughter, who's adopted from Guatemala, was terrified of ICE. She felt forced to carry her U.S. citizenship papers with her 24/7. Not that ICE, which was all over New York, was likely to pay any attention to those papers. In Panama, she won't be frightened on a daily basis because of the color of her skin, I said. And my friends of color in Panama tell me that multiracial families are far more common than in the US. What about anti-Semitism? That question was inevitable. My husband's background is New York City liberal Jewish. Mine is New York City radical Jewish. I offered a brief history lesson. Panama has openly welcomed Jews since the mid-19th century and then throughout the Holocaust and now. Anti-Semitism is pretty much absent in Panama. A Panamanian Jewish friend who, like me, is a cultural Jew, had told me that Panama's diverse Jewish community, Orthodox, Reform, and cultural Jews, coexists peacefully, which helped to make me feel even more comfortable. And now, a year later, my husband, daughter, and I are contentedly living in a high-rise building in the charming bohemian neighborhood of El Cangrejo, the Crab, in the heart of Panama City. We love sitting outside in the evenings on our balcony, appreciating the occasional breeze, and taking in the city's dramatic, modern, architecturally fluid skyline. We've never been able to afford an apartment with a balcony before, so this is a real treat. We marvel constantly at the fact that excellent doctors here see us quickly, no 6-month wait for an appointment, and then meet with us for a full hour while charging us far less than we were ever charged in Manhattan for 10-minute visits with doctors who barely knew us. My doctor here now is my Facebook friend. We marvel too at Panama's 4 microclimates, all within easy reach. Beautiful cities, beaches, mountains, and jungles. We wanted una vida más tranquila y una aventura, and we've definitely getting both. We marvel just as much at the people. We've made friends here with folks from all over the world who are bright, politically engaged, funny, warm, and generous. Our LGBTQ plus friends tell us they feel safe and respected here. Of course, we deeply miss seeing our dear friends and family in person, but we keep reminding ourselves and them that the flight from Panama City to New York is easy and direct. And when those dear friends and family ask me over Zoom, but surely Panama can't be perfect, I grow suddenly profound. But who can say what perfection really is? Let's just say that for us, it's pretty damned good. Thank you.